Good evening, guys. Today we're going to be doing a solo flight from London to Brantford in Alabeo's Carinado's Piper PA-22 Tri-Pacer. I picked up this aircraft recently from Alabeo, and I've been flying it a lot in southwestern Ontario, and I kind of like it purely because of its difficulty. You really have to fly this guy manually. There's no autopilot, and you really have to fight it for the first couple minutes into the flight. But once you find that sweet spot, she basically levels out, and you just have to keep an eye on your GPS track. And I kind of like that. It's a step backwards from the Cessna 172, which I've been flying a lot. But in a way, it's a lot more hands-on for short-haul flights. So we are going to be doing a short-haul flight. Like I said, London to Brantford. We're going to be doing it during the day, but I'm flying real-time in the evening. We're going to be flying real weather and no ATC or anything, just us in the skies. The flight time is going to be about half an hour, and the distance is 57.6 nautical miles, so again, real short. But let's jump into the flight planner and see what we're going to be doing. So for this solo flight, we're going to be flying from London to Brantford. We're going to be flying the Piper PA-22 Tri-Pacer, which doesn't have any GPS function, really simple radio nav functions, or it does have GPS, no autopilot, sorry. Real simple radio nav functions, and that's about it. So it's mostly a manual flight following GPS coordinates. Weather out of CYXU London right now is winds out of 190 at 6 knots. There is no weather reporting at Brantford because it's uncontrolled, so we're going to pretty much expect the same. I'm going to say 190 out of 6 knots, just to be safe. It's not a very long flight anyway, and X-Plane only updates their weather every 15 minutes, so at worst we'll get one weather change, and it'll likely be somewhere halfway while we're landing into Brantford. So with that information, let's take a look at the aerodrome charts, which I actually have on my other monitor. So this is Brantford here. So since winds are at 190, we'll land runway 233, and by doing that, we're going to do the RNAV approach to runway 23, which follows these fixes. We're going to be coming in from the west, so we'll hit Leetote, then Ukimi, then Kebab, and then runway 23. Minimums are 2,500 at Ukimi, and then we'll start our descent once we hit Kebab. Our altitude for this flight is, we're just going to be flying at 2,500. I know it's low. Oops, I typed in 3,500 there. I know it's low, but I like to see the scenery, so. Currently the time is 9:37, but we're going to be flying real weather but not real time. I'm going to mostly do the time probably around noon. I just don't feel like doing a night flight right now. And we're not flying VATSIM, we're not flying ATC. We're just all on our own. And we are flying FSE. The job we have today on FSE is again from CYXU London to CYFD Brantford, flying the Piper PA-22 Tri-Pacer. It's got 10 gallons of fuel in there. I didn't want to fill it up any more than that. Plan G is saying that we're going to be using about 3 gallons, so that's good enough since I'm paying for it. I don't want to fill her up too much. And we're flying one CYFD passenger. It's not a very big job, and we're renting the Piper PA Tri-Pacer dry at $119 per hour. Other than that, we've got our plan here. So it's CYXU, and then the RNAV approach, like we just discussed. Weather is here, like we just discussed, and other than that, we're all set to go. Okay, guys, so we're back in the sim, sitting here in the Tri-Pacer in the pilot's view. Just absolute beauty to look at. I love this aircraft, and like I said earlier, I just really love flying it. So we're going to go through the startup procedure. It's really simple. The primer's here, but I don't think it's actually functional. It's just kind of modeled. Not really that important. Mixture full. We'll crack the throttle a bit. We'll set the we'll set the magnetos to both. Flip on the batteries. Start her up. Good start. set the throttle to idle, let that warm up a bit. Now the one thing is as soon as you release the parking brake, this guy really goes, even at idle. So you have to keep your hands on the, or keep your feet on the brakes there. So our GPS is booted up. Take a look at our oil pressure. Oil pressure looks good. Oil temperature, we'll wait for that to warm up a little bit. In the meantime, let's load up our flight plan. I've got an old flight plan here, so we just ignore that for now. So this is London. That's our first RNAV approach into the runway 23. Everything looks good here, so that's good. We'll close that, clear that message. So this is basically the basic nav view. This is all you get in the Tri-Pacer. A simple GNS 430. I mean, you can switch it to the other views, which some people like a bit better, like this. But I like to see my line on the track and my bearings and everything. Primarily because I don't really like this compass. I mostly focus on the GNS. So anyway, squawk is 1200. That's good. Squawking 1200. We'll turn on the taxi lights, the nav lights, and the beacon for now. Looks good. Now, Brantford has no NVBs or VORs or anything like that, so we're basically just going to be following the GPS track the whole way through. Before we start our taxi, and since we're still waiting for the oil temperature to come up a little bit, let's take a look at the map. So we are here. We're going to take off. Runway 27. Okay, now that we're started up, let's start up X economy. Okay, and it looks like we got lease time of about 3 hours. Looking pretty good. We'll close up X economy and we'll log back in there when we're on the ground. My biggest complaint with the Albedo Tri-Pacer is that there's no audio cues for flap settings. So here's the flap handle down here, and you just saw me change it. You can see me change it on the wingtips, but there's no audio cues, so it's a little strange not hearing that. Like I said, and the engine audio and that sort of thing is kind of, like I said, one of my biggest complaints, but oh well. So fuel selectors, we're on the right tank right now, so that'll be okay. We'll probably use up most of the right tank on the way there and maybe switch over. And oil temp is looking good, so let's take a look at our map just again. Again, we're going to be taxiing out of all this mess here, and then onto the apron. And I think this is G or A. I'm sure we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's release the parking brake. And as soon as you release the parking brake, I'm not giving her any throttle. She's already going. Some of these hard turns are a little scary in this, because really there's no taxi control. You're just on your own. And you tap those brakes and the whole thing jostles. If somebody can give me tips or tricks on how to taxi this without overspeeding too much, let me know. So I'm gonna make a left here. Careful not to hit the fuel truck. Can't read that taxi sign, but I'm going to make a right here. Memory serves me correctly. Well, I made a wrong turn somewhere. We're on D right now. Let's hold short here, take a look at our map again. Yeah, I turned a little too early, but that's okay. We'll just taxi down the active, and then make a left. Actually, before we do that, let's just take a look at the winds right now. Wind's 210, so it's okay. Alright. And altimeter 3660. Wait, did I say that right? That can't be right. 3006 probably. Yeah, 3006. Okay, so we're holding short of runway 27. Which is the runway we're going to be taking off on. Some quick notes on takeoff information. We're going to be doing a straightaway takeoff, and then just do basically a right turn towards lee tot. We're basically going to be coming right behind us, so we're going to be basically doing a 180. Rotation speed on this guy is 55 knots. We're not going to be using any flaps because we got more than enough runway. Fuel check's good. Flip on these landing lights. And I think we're all set. So let's give her. Parking brake released. Well past rotation speed, so I'll just tap her back a little bit. We'll get a positive rate here going. The full throttle now. We're going to try climbing to about 2,500, but we're going to do a slight right now to get back on our track. You can see there in the GPS, we're reading, we should be at about 0.075, and we're left from track. Speed's dropping just a little bit, so I'm going to descend that angle and climb a little bit. We're approaching 2,000 now. We're coming on course, but we're still left of track. So I'm probably going to come to about 0.80 to line back up with that track. And then once it's lined up, I'll turn to 0.75. So that's about 0.80 there. Now she's going to want to climb a lot faster. So I'll trim her down a bit. And now we're just basically chasing needles. Give it some trim. And we're a little high. Pull back on the throttle a bit, and she'll want to drop a lot. Approaching a little bit of overspeed, so pull back a little bit more on that throttle and trim down because we're climbing too much. drifted a bit left, so let's line back up with 080. It's good. And set a little bit of a descent so we can hit that 2500 target. I'm going to come to 085 just to catch up with that track because it's off by a lot. Trim her down and throttle down a bit. And trim back up, and she should slow down a little bit. Chase the trim. And there we go. We're getting a pretty good speed here. We're at about 2500. Good trim. We're at 093. We're chasing our track. We'll trim out just a little bit more to stop that descent. Right about there. And we'll wait for that track line to line up with our heading. I find in most cases this aircraft tends to lean left. Right now my yoke is pretty much straight, and you'll find that my bearing, or sorry, my heading slowly comes a little left. Like now it's a little off to the left, so I have to adjust a little bit, just a tiny bit to the right, just to keep it, but because I want to be a little bit more right than my track heading, because I'm still going to catch up. And if you don't really understand what I mean, I'll explain in a second, but once I get lined up a bit more. Actually, I could probably do it now. So here's a better view of the GPS. We'll just throw it up there because we don't need to look out the window. If we go to the top-down view, it'll make a lot more sense. I can actually do it. There. If I look at the top-down view, we kind of went like this, outbound on CYXU, and then we came around this way. And this is the track. So that's kind of your optimal path to your next waypoint. You want to be on that track so that you're saving time and fuel and energy and all sorts of fun stuff. So the idea is this view right here, this shows you your heading on if you're on track, essentially. So right here, this shows your heading if you're on track. 076 is what you want to be at if you're on track. This little green triangle is your center line, and this rectangle, this outline rectangle, shows you how far off track you are. So if it's off to the right, it means you're to the left of the track. So as you can see, because I have a more hard right angle at 084, I'm intercepting that track, and now that I'm essentially intercepted with that track, I'll come to 076. I did it a little late, but I'll come to 076 now. And I'll essentially be on track and on heading. I'm probably not using the right terminology, but it makes sense to me. So if we go back to our top-down view, we're essentially right on track and right on heading. And this is a good view to visualize it, but this isn't a good view to really nail down the fine details. This is the best view you want to be on. So during that little conversation, we lost a little altitude. So I'm just going to climb a little bit. And we're just basically following our heading. we've been cruising for a little while now, and I just want to do a quick wind check at Brantford. Not that we're really going to be able to do it, so we're just going to have to pull from London again. But winds right now are 210 at 8, so that's good. Altimeter is 3660, so everything's all looking good. We're staying on track. We're about 9.7 nautical miles out from our first arrival intersection. So we'll be there in about 5 minutes. And then we'll start our arrival pattern. Our first waypoint, which is Letot, and then from Letot we're going to go towards Ukimi and do a 90-degree turn towards Kebab, and then we'll start our descent into runway 23. When we hit Kebab, we got to be at 2,400 feet. We're at basically 2,500 right now, so no big deal. It's real easy to do. The biggest thing that we're going to have to do is bleed our speed. And you can see our GPS just swapped right there, so we're going to have to make a right turn to 143. And we will do that right now. Re-enable my track IR here. And I'm also going to slow up the aircraft and change my mixture to full. Now, when you're doing your approaches, I find that it's really hard to keep track of the GPS track, mostly because the distances are so small that any variation will cause that track rectangle to go off course. So you end up either fighting it a lot or just sort of dealing with it and just flying, basically. So I'm going to slow her down a little bit. We're a little far to right, come a little left. We're at 2,400 now, so we shouldn't be below 2,400 though, so we gotta get up. Minimums are 2,400, so we gotta correct that. Come to 043. A lot of things to keep your eye on in this aircraft. And I'm dropping a lot, so let's correct that. There we go. That should bleed off some speed too. Looks like we just got a weather update. So there's 2400 there, so we'll try to hold this while not going any lower. Now we've got good speed. 100 knots is pretty good for what is basically our base leg. And we just basically have to hold this course for another 40 seconds. I'm not going to adjust throttle anymore because I'm basically where I want to be. Okay, 20 seconds till our next 90. And it's already basically switched us. So we'll come to 233 and we should at least see the field, I think. The GPS swaps you over to your next waypoint early, with the assumption that you're basically going to be making a procedure turn or a rate 1 turn. And we're losing a lot of altitude here. So we should see the field somewhere out there. I don't really see it. We'll just trust everything here. We got to get a little higher. There we go. Keep app is when we start our descent, so we got about another 3 minutes till our descent. Give her a little bit more throttle because I'm fighting the altitude a lot right now. There's 2400. See if I can trim her. Back towards, well, the track is a little off to our left. That's good enough. Slow her down a bit. Come to 233. So now I'm focusing on throttle and trim. Mixture's full. Those landing lights are already on. They've been on this entire time. Oops. Can we see the field yet? Oh, there it is. Right ahead of us. Perfect. You can see those pappies. So we got about 50 more seconds till kebab. Kebab. I don't know. We're at 100 knots, so we're doing really, really well. A little bit more right here. I'm just trusting my instruments right now until I get to this waypoint, and then I'll probably do visual from there on in and just watch the pappies. So it's about to switch us over. Okay, so we can more or less start our descent. I see the field out there, so I'm just going to do visual now. And my other complaint with this Piper P-822, and I wonder if real Piper pilots have this problem, is this crossbar is almost right in on your center line. I end up having to look around it a lot. I don't know, it's weird. Like, I end up leaning to the right like this. Okay, now that we've got like kind of a smooth descent going, throttle down a bit. We'll probably give her flaps too high. Once we hit 100, I'll give her flaps, but and we're going to be exiting runway left. I'll give flaps now, I guess. So that's one notch. Yep. That'll slow her down. Feels better. I feel like I'm too high, and since they're not the four-way lights, they're just the two lights, it's not as accurate. And I feel like I have a little bit of a left crosswind. If anything, we're a bit low now. Yep. I'll just give her a little bit more throttle and pitch up. I think I'm just going to leave one notch of flaps. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I'm about half throttle right now, so I can easily just cut the throttle to idle and we'll be okay. That's what I mean about this crossbar. I end up looking around it. I am going to give her another notch. So there we go, full flaps. A little high. The left rudder. Off on the left rudder a bit. Try to flare best I can, idle. There we go, and we're down at Brantford Airport. Like I said, we're going to be exiting runway left. See if I can get that first taxiway. I didn't want to make that sharp turn, but we still made it. Let's do flaps up. Also, those flaps seem to move so fast. Like, unrealistically fast. Brantford Airport is a nice little general aviation airport. Uncontrolled, but pretty sweet. And I'm using custom Brantford Airport scenery, which you can find for free. Just Google, I'll put the link down there, but you can just probably just Google Brantford Airport X-plane, and you'll see it there. The stock scenery didn't look too good with Ortho 4XP. Everything was all misaligned. And we'll park her right next to... Oops, sorry about that. Right next to what looks like a Seneca. Or a Bonanza. Okay. Parking brake on. Kill the mixture. And swap the magnetos over. Yeah, it looks like we drained most of the left tank, so that's good. Turn all this off. Turn this off. And we will log FSE. So, X economy. Finish flight. Still 7 gallons of fuel. I plan on making another flight with this tri-pacer from Brantford. I'm not really sure where yet, but I might even do it tonight. But pretty good deal. So if you guys have any questions or want me to do any videos on any specific topics, maybe FSE or maybe Plan G, maybe the tri-pacer, let me know. I'd be happy to do a specialized video. So until next time, thanks for watching.